Hi, my name is Samantha Mitchell, and this is my action research study for my EDU 626 class at Georgetown College. This action research study focuses on middle school teachers' attitudes towards the inclusion of MSD students and how it impacts their teaching practices. This study was conducted in Western Kentucky in the McCracken County School District, specifically at Lone Oak Middle School. This is a rural school district in Paducah, Kentucky with roughly 700 students in grades 6 through 8, including general education students and special education students. Lone Oak Middle School is home to all of the moderate to severe disabled students in the district. These students receive math and language arts instruction in a self-contained classroom and then join the general education population for science, social studies, and special classes such as art and health. Students are accompanied to general education classes by peer tutors, or general education students who assist our MSD students in the general ed classroom, and paraprofessionals. Because of the increasing number of students with moderate to severe disabilities at Lone Oak Middle School, this action research study was conducted to determine teacher attitudes towards the inclusion of MSD students and its impact on their teaching practices. Before completing the action research study at Lone Oak Middle School, I looked at a variety of peer-reviewed studies and created the literature review. 3 common themes are shown in this chart. They include teachers' attitudes towards inclusion, teachers' concerns about administrative support, and teachers' concerns about time. The design for this study was action research. The methodology used for this action research was qualitative. According to Mertler, the qualitative method will allow the researcher to develop a deep understanding of the participants' perceptions and how those perceptions have affected their practices. For this study specifically, I'm trying to answer what are middle school teachers' attitudes towards the inclusion of MSD students and how it impacts their classroom practices. This research design was most effective for the study because the primary investigator was able to collect data throughout the study and continually reflect and build on the research question. The data instruments utilized included a Google Forms survey, an interview, and a classroom observation with middle school general education teachers. Once all of the teachers' research was collected, the data was analyzed, meta-themes were developed, and data was triangulated for verification. Based on the meta-themes, findings were generated and used to issue recommendations for my school and the profession as a whole. The participants of this study were 6 Lone Oak Middle School teachers who currently serve MSD students in their classrooms. A signed consent form was collected from all 6 participants before research began. To protect the participant identities, each participant was given a pseudonym. All data collected was saved in a private folder on a personal drive under password protection. Data will be permanently deleted on May 1st of this year. To better understand participant knowledge of the subject, content area and number of years taught, and highest level of education was collected. Table 2 shows participants' grade level and content area. Figure 1 shows years of classroom experience. 5 of the 6 participants have 10 plus years of classroom experience. Figure 2 shows level of education. All 6 participants have a current master's degree. For data collection, the teacher participants completed a survey, shared information through an interview, and allowed me to complete an app classroom observation. Each of these data tools collected qualitative information through asking open-ended questions. The preparation required receiving teacher consent to participate in each component, scheduling a time to complete each collection piece, and then meeting with each individual on 3 separate occasions. Those times were set up via email and phone. The survey results were compiled using Google Forms electronically, and then the information was charted. The interviews were recorded using the QuickTime Player on a MacBook and then transcribed using Timmy.com. After the transcription, each was coded and reviewed to discover common themes. Lastly, the observations were completed in person within the various classrooms. Each classroom included MSD student participation. Notes were taken by hand, then transferred into a Google Doc. The results were analyzed by using a coding scheme to search for themes, similarly to the interview analyzation process. The themes discovered across each category were considered and connected to the original research question. Data triangulation was implemented to analyze each source and compare the various types of data collected. The results were equally weighted and informally compared to specify similar results in a comprehensive view of the topic. Based on the results and connecting the themes to research in the literature review, conclusions and implications on future research were revealed. Table 3 shows the coding map for classroom observations. After each observation, I typed notes into a Google Doc. Once all 6 were typed and coded, I began to determine common themes. In step 3, you'll find those common themes. For observations, they were general education teachers actively participate in the class. MSD students are included in classroom practices. Peer tutors and/or paraprofessionals aid MSD students in the classroom. Differentiation is present in the classroom, and a positive attitude is present among teachers. Table 4 shows the interview analysis with refined themes. Once all 6 interviews were coded, I determined common themes. These themes are shown in the table. Similar to the observation themes, we have MSD students are included in the classroom practices. Peer tutor and/or paraprofessional aid MSD students in the classroom. Differentiation is present in the classroom, and a positive attitude is present. To the right, you'll see summary of responses, and those are just examples of what was seen or what was heard from the teacher in the interview. Table 5 shows the survey results with refined themes. For each theme, I gave examples of teacher responses. For MSD students are included in the classroom practices. Through the survey, we found that MSD students are often joined in on group work, class discussion, experiments, and labs. The next theme was peer tutor and/or paraprofessional aid MSD students in the classroom. In the majority of the classes, peer tutors and paraprofessionals work to keep MSD students focused. They're also able to continuously offer one-on-one assistance to MSD students. The third theme found was differentiation is present in the classroom. Differentiation was available through modified grading scale, modified assignments, preferential seating, the delivering of the content, and alternate assignments if needed. The last theme was positive attitude present. MSD students are pleasant and nice to be with. Several teachers said they love having the MSD students in their class, and several teachers said they enjoy having them in class. Table 6 shows meta-themes that were triangulated from all 3 data sources. Those themes are MSD students are included in the classroom practices. Peer tutor and/or paraprofessionals aid MSD students in the classroom. Differentiation is present in the classroom, and a positive attitude is present. From these meta-themes, I was able to generate findings for my research question. started my research with the question, what are middle school teachers' attitudes towards the inclusion of MSD students and how it impacts their classroom practices? After collecting and analyzing my data, I was able to produce the following findings. First, I found participants were able to include their MSD students in the majority of their classroom practices. Second, I found general education teachers relied greatly on their peer tutors and/or paraprofessionals for their expertise in how to best help MSD students function in the general education classroom. Third, I found participants were able to use differentiation in the general education classroom to meet the needs of their MSD students. Lastly, I found that participants hold a mostly positive attitude towards the inclusion of MSD students in the general education classroom. Table 7 represents how findings of this study connect to peer-reviewed research studies. The summaries align with meta-themes found through the action research study. The first summary of a finding was participants were able to include their MSD students in the majority of their classroom practices. The second, general education teachers rely greatly on their peer tutors and/or paraprofessionals for their expertise in how to help best MSD students function in the general education classroom. Table 7 continues on this next slide. The third theme they're finding, participants were able to use differentiation in the general education classroom to meet the needs of their MSD students. And lastly, participants hold a mostly positive attitude toward the inclusion of MSD students in the general education classroom. To conclude, the purpose of this action research study was to determine middle school teachers' attitudes towards the inclusion of MSD students and how that attitude impacts their classroom practices. The analysis of the data showed that while the participants held a mostly positive attitude towards inclusion of MSD students, they felt they were underqualified to teach them in their general education classrooms without the aid of either a peer tutor or paraprofessional. In addition, the analysis showed that the quality differentiation in place MSD students are able to be included in the general education classroom practices. Based on the research findings, the following recommendations are made for Lone Oak Middle School, but these recommendations are also valuable for the teaching profession in general. The first is an ongoing professional development in the use of differentiation in the classroom. Occasional PD sessions on differentiation does not provide teachers with sufficient training to confidently implement the use of quality differentiation in their lesson. My recommendation is for schools and districts to regularly offer professional development opportunities on teaching MSD students, including the development of quality differentiation techniques and how to implement them in the general education classroom to better meet the academic needs of MSD students. Increased collaboration with MSD teacher to increase confidence. To increase teacher confidence in their ability to teach MSD students in the general education classroom, I recommend increased opportunities for mainstream teachers and MSD teachers to collaborate. The MSD teacher can serve as a mentor in producing and implementing quality differentiation that effectively help MSD students access the general education content. Working together, the classroom teacher and MSD teacher can assess the success of the differentiation techniques they use and make necessary changes. In time and with practice, mainstream teachers will gain the confidence they need to easily incorporate MSD students in their classroom practices. References are followed by a separate document as well.